There's no doubt that oil plays a big part in the Texas economy and certainly in history. But what might surprise you is the huge impact the oil industry has had on the Rio Grande. Cameron County Historical Commissioner Gene Fernandez tells us more in this week's Throwback Thursday.
Brenda, we're here today to discuss the third C, the third letter C, in Texas's Triple Crown. We've covered features on cotton, cattle, and now we're going to talk about crude oil. Texas has benefited from oil since about the turn of the century. The first well that was drilled in Texas was in 1866, and that was in San Augustine County. However, it started way before that. When the Spanish conquistadores came through, there was one of them that passed through Beaumont, and he commented back to the king in 1548 that he saw pools of oil on lakes that were there outside of Beaumont, and that became the Beaumont Field. Now, let's see how oil has benefited the valley. Number one, back at the turn of the century, there was a buzz about Texas, all of Texas, about this oil and the fortunes that were to be made of that. And that caught on in South Texas as well. There were all kinds of exploratory missions that went out trying to drill for the oil, but we didn't have the technology to figure out where the salt domes were and the substrata and all of that. We just poked a hole in the ground and we were thinking that oil was going to come out. I specifically remember my grandfather was involved in an oil venture. There's no oil down here, it's mainly gas. But he was involved in a venture off of Paredes Line Road where the old sugar mill was. That's to show you how close all this oil drilling was done in proximity to deep South Texas. I remember also in my childhood there were wells that were out by Boca Chica Beach, and there was another one that was off of San Martin Lake. And so there were several of them in the area, but they were really non-producing to the degree that it wasn't really feasible to get them going. But now here's the way that the valley, the entire valley, benefited from oil further than that. The old land grant families, the old Spanish-based families that came into the area in the 1700s, those are the ones that retained the oil rights to a lot of the lands that were in Hidalgo County, Willacy County, and up the valley. Those residuals are still being collected by a lot of these old families that were close to the core agreement for these grants. The reason that we're not a state income tax state is because of oil. It wasn't the cattle and it wasn't the cotton, it was because of the oil. The benefit of that and the taxation that came through that has sustained Texas for all of these years in a huge way. Moving up to the present, we still benefit from this through our port of Brownsville because of the shipments that come through. There's a vast shield, it's called the Eagle Ford Shield, that extends from about Austin area on down into Roma, Rio Grande City, and Hidalgo County. That oil, a lot of it was moved out of the port of Brownsville, and it continues to do so. Oil has written its mark on our culture down here. The benefits of that have been enormous, and the rest is history. For KVEO News, I'm Eugene Fernandez.